you guys so much. What a distinct honor and privilege. Things happen. We are in a pandemic. My office, whatever, the internet went out. So I had to leave the office so that I could get pretty decent reception here. But I want you to do me a favor. If you guys don't mind, if you can please, I know this may seem tedious, but if you can grab a pad and a pen, I need you to take a couple notes for me. And I promise you, these notes are not for me. I promise you they're for them. Now, I remember I had a professor who says, people forget, paper remembers. Write it down. People forget, paper remembers. Write it down, right? So I'm gonna have you write a couple things down. Now, number one, I want you to write down who are the people, you love the most. Maybe it's your mom or your dad. I want you to write their name, full name, right? Your mom or your dad, right? Or perhaps, it's a sibling or grandma or cousin or a friend, a coach, right? I think about KD, who oftentimes, would hit the number in the front, hit the number in the back, and then he'd point up in the sky, right? And he was doing that for his coach, who passed away at 35, right? So he wore the number 35 to honor him. I want you to think about who are the people you love, who are the people that you wake up for, the people who inspire you. All right. So I want you to think that through, guys. Just who are these people? Who get you pumped up? Who get you fired up? Who get you going? Who are those people? Write that down. Now I want you to write down what gets you going, right? Maybe you might be a car person, or maybe you're a house person, or maybe you like to tear stuff down and build stuff up. Maybe you like to make money, or maybe you like to help people. What gets you going? What wakes you up in the morning? When you are somewhat sick or somewhat, tired, what are the things that make you keep going? All right. I remember working on my 4-year degree, the master's, not as much as the master's, but a little bit the master's, but definitely the PhD. Like, it was days I was ready to quit. I was ready to throw in the towel. Like, I was like, this don't make sense, right? But then I thought about my daughter and my son who had to go to college. And so I figured if I got a master's and a PhD from Michigan State University, it'd be easy for them to go there. If I got a 4-year degree from Oakwood University, it'd be easy for them to go there. Why? Because I'm an alum, right? So I want you to think about what are the people, who are the people, what are the things that fire you up and get you going. Now, I work with a few NBA players, and I got one NBA player in particular that I was working with today, he said, ET, man, some days, man, I could put up 20, 27 and 6. Another day I could put up 17, 10 and 10, and then 3-4 days in a row, games in a row. I can't seem to put up no points. Like, I know I got it, but, and I had to explain to him, it's always in you, but you're not always motivated. You're not always inspired naturally. So one of the things I want to talk about is just some of the things that we can do to naturally get ourselves inspired. Because every day ain't going to be a great day, but you can still make it a great day. All right. And then finally, if you do, now you might be, depending on your age or your level of maturity or just where you are in life, you may not know what's next for you. Like, you may not have the slightest idea. But what I want you to do is I want you to write down what's next. What do you want to accomplish? Maybe a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And this is probably the most important one, because I've been one of the top motivational speakers for some time now. And I say it with humility, and I know, it's the grace of God, but I also have a trick. After I accomplish one goal, so that I don't get complacent, that I don't get, apathetic about, my place in life, I just create some next goals, right? I told everybody I want to win a Nobel Prize. I just recently got a publishing deal with Penguin Books. Like, I just make up stuff, right? I'm trying to eventually sell my story to Netflix or Hulu. I saw where Kanye West just sold his documentary to Netflix for, I think it was Netflix, for $30 million. You know what I'm saying? $30 million. I don't even need, you gotta give me $3 million for my little story. All right. So who motivates you? What motivates you, right? And what's next? All right, I want you to think about those things. Now, I don't know if we have a moderator. I know we're gonna do Q&A, but I would love if it was possible to kind of do Q&A, as we're moving forward. So think about that. If that's something that can happen, I like to answer people's questions in real time, meaning after I give a thought, I love to get a question and move forward. So the first thing I want to talk about, right, and pay attention, guys, this is important. There was a time where I hated school so much that I dropped out. So you thinking, E.T., you just said you got a PhD. How you got a PhD if you hate school, right? So there was one point in my life where I didn't see the value or the significance of school, so I dropped out. Now, I want y'all to know something. Man, when I tell you, even in a pandemic, it's a lot of money to be made. Johnson & Johnson making a lot of money. Pfizer making a whole lot of money. They got a whole lot of folks in the pharmaceutical business. They're making a whole lot of money. People, the mass companies making a lot of money. Hotels, are making a lot. Uber Eats is making. It's a whole lot of money being made. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I probably made as much money in the pandemic as I've made before, and a lot of it is passive. A lot of it, like I'm not on the road no more doing what I do. So what I want to say to you is that it's not that success doesn't exist. It's not that money's not here to be made. The problem is the value. Write that down. Depending on where you are in terms of value, that's your existence. So when I didn't value school, I didn't go no more. I dropped out. Now, that doesn't mean that school wasn't important because I didn't value it. I need you to hear what I'm telling you today. The more you learn, the more you earn. That's always been the truth. The fact that I did not see the significance of learning, that's something totally different, right? So, E.T., what happened? Well, what happened was, what they say, what happened was, and I'm just keeping it 100. I'm not going to try to be deep. I started going to church because I didn't grow up in church. So I started going to church, and this one had nothing to do with church, but I started dating a girl in church. And the girl that I was dating in church happened to be the opposite of me academically, right? And what do you mean by that, E? Well, she actually was going to school, right? She was going to a private school, and her mother actually had plans on her going to college, and she actually was obedient to her mama and did what her mama asked her to do. And so she was going to college. And I'll never forget, she had a conversation with me, and she says, I love you. I do. Do you love me? I said, absolutely. Now, you got to be careful. Oh, my. You know my girl. I should have been careful because she's not a feelings person. She's a facts person. So when you say, I love you, for her as a facts person, then she wants to see the evidence. What is the evidence? Like, you got to prove to me. So I told her, yeah, I love you. She said, well, you will prove to me that you love me by going to get your GED and going to college with me. Oh, come on. Listen to me very closely. I went to night school. My teachers couldn't get me to do it. My mama couldn't get me to do it. The counselor couldn't do it. The principal couldn't. The police officers who arrested me and told me, you better get your butt back in school. Nobody could get me to go to school. But my girlfriend was able to get me to not only go to school, but to literally get my GED. Oh, come on, somebody. Get my GED and follow her to college. And I married her after our freshman year, and I passed her up. She finished with a 4-year degree. I got a 4-year and a master's. She went back and got her master's. Then I went and got a PhD. Value will change everything. So at one point, I didn't see the value of school. At another point, I knew if I didn't get with homegirl, that I was going to lose her. So I said, hey, if I got to go to school to get her, I will love every minute of it. I'm telling you today that school is important, but for many of you, you're not taking it serious, not because you're dumb. I didn't think I was smart. I was smart enough to get a PhD. I didn't think I was smart. I failed English 3 times. I was smart enough to write 3 books and get a book deal with one of the most productive and most influential publishing companies in the world. Are you hearing what I'm saying? They did Michelle Obama's book. They did Charlemagne the God's book, right? You name it. They have done some. I don't know if they did Obama's, but I'm figuring they did Michelle's. They probably did. I'm in a class with some. Why? Because my girlfriend, who's been my wife for over 30 years, got me to understand the value of school. I'm telling you, all roads lead through school. I don't care what you're trying to do. E.T., I want to go to the NBA. Well, you can't do it without going to college. Last time I checked, the road to the Final Four, they had nobody in the hood. They ain't had no hood teams. The University of Hard Knocks, the University of Hard Knocks, they wasn't in the Final Four. Oh, come on. Coaches don't go. Coach Drew, who I work for, Baylor, who won a national title. Coach Drew, he don't go to the hood. He don't go to the YMCA. He don't go to the Boys and Girls Club. He goes to universities. I'm sorry, high schools to bring them to his university. So if you're playing football or basketball, baseball, you got all roads lead through school. If you want to make good money, all roads lead through school. The more, write it down. The more you earn, the more you learn, the more you earn. Write it down. Write it down. The more you learn, the more you earn. And so, I wanted to put myself in a situation where I could do, you heard it earlier, corporate work, Quicken Loans, Chase Bank, JP Morgan and Chase, you name these different companies, hospitals. I wanted to speak there. I heard you could make $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000. Matter of fact, I'll never forget, Les Brown called me, and Les Brown, because I went, matter of fact, I went to see Les Brown in Orlando. I went and got a hotel. I rented a hotel. We spent some time together, and I'll never forget, Les Brown said to me, young man, you should be asking for $50,000 to $75,000, and you should start with $100,000 when you do international work. I never knew I could make that kind of money. But there's a language that you need to speak that I couldn't speak, right? A language that I needed to speak, that I need to go to school so I could learn that language, so I could know the rules and the code. She said, what do you mean by that, E? All right, so watch this. When I would go to black schools, right? Urban schools, Chicago, Detroit, you know what I'm saying? Gary, LA, right? I tell this story. I'd say, all right, say you and your boys hanging out on the block, right? Y'all hanging out on the block in the summertime, and all of a sudden y'all chilling, it's 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and a Suburban come out of nowhere, and then it's hit the brakes, and then all the windows come down, right? What do? Yeah, I know. Everybody said, we run. I said, absolutely. Well, I said, what are you running for? I don't know. We just run, right? Then I'd go into a Jewish community or a white community. I tell the same story. And I say what they do. They say, oh, okay, we go up to the window and ask, do you need directions? You're not hearing what I'm saying. I tell the same story in a different community and get a totally different answer. Why? Because the rules, the code, and the languages are different. Nobody in that neighborhood is getting shot up, so they're not running. You're not hearing what I'm saying. And so when you want to make money in different arenas, you want to go to colleges, you want to go to universities, you want to do the NBA, the NFL, you want to do corporate, you want to do churches, you want to do nonprofits. It's a different language. The way you talk to doctors is different. The way you talk to lawyers is a different language. The way you talk to athletes is a different language. The way you talk to college students is a different language. The way you talk to leaders is a different language. The way you talk to CEOs is a different language. The way you talk to, you're not hearing what I'm saying. It's a different language. And so I actually went to school, not to get a degree, but I went to school so I could learn the different languages, the different codes, the different rules. So now I get to make a lot of money from I make a lot of money because I'm in different places. I don't make a lot of money because I'm phenomenal at just one thing. While I'm a good speaker, you just can't speak in that one, environment. You hear me? Good. All right. So we got a couple questions. I'm ready. Let's go. Give me those questions. So remember what I told you though. The value is everything. Just because you value it don't mean it ain't valuable. Write that down. Just because you don't value it don't mean it's not valuable. And just because you don't take it serious doesn't mean you don't have the capacity to take it serious. All right? And if you want to get in the game, you got to learn the rules. All right, let's go. I'm ready. Give me that question.
All right, ET. So the first question for you is, you have a podcast called The Secret to Success.
Yeah.
We're focused on, as an organization, the Male Success Alliance, supporting young men of color. So what is the secret to success for young men of color?
Good. So the first secret to success is getting them to value what's valuable, right? Getting them to value what's valuable. So for a lot of our kids, they don't value education, right? And you can't get to success without it, right? A lot of our young people don't value hard work. They're like, I gotta work. I gotta clock in and clock out. I just want to rap. I just want to be a rapper. How you gonna be a rapper if you don't know the English language, right? You need to know the language. That's education. So what I'm gonna show y'all, there's a difference between rappers who are one-hit wonders and Kanye. I told y'all, Kanye just sold his documentary, his life story for $30 million, right? Let me tell you the difference between Kanye. I know y'all heard of this guy named 50 Cent, right? And 50 Cent is good, But I remember out of nowhere, 50 Cent was like, yo, I want to compete with and go, I want to battle with Kanye West. I said, have you lost your mind? You want to battle with Kanye West? You don't have that kind of vocabulary. You don't have that kind of mind, right? So he battled with Kanye. Kanye blew him out the water. They both came out with an album. But Kanye actually used some of 50 Cent's stuff in his rap and blew him out. So what am I saying, young people? I'm saying, number one, the reason why you don't want to go against Kanye is because Kanye's mother was an English professor. All right, I need y'all to hear me. I want to break this down. I know you don't probably know some of this stuff. Kanye's mother was not only a professor at Chicago State University in English, she was actually the chair of the department. So what happened was Kanye actually went to school every day. You go to school every day when your mom was an English teacher, okay? Every single day you in school. When you wake up, when you go to school, when you come home from school, when you go to bed, your mama is an English professor. All you're talking about is English, metaphors, assemblies. So watch this. When Kanye started rapping, remember what he said? College dropout. Remember, look at the name of his stuff. He didn't even go to college, but he's naming his stuff after universities, right? Late registration. That's college stuff. You like Kanye didn't go to school. He didn't have to. He grew up in school. He grew up in school. So the way his mom is talking. So watch this. One of his best albums he come out with, he talking about, I met this girl named Wendy. And he breaking Wendy down. Metaphors, similes. He talk about Chicago, the Windy City, right? So he didn't name her Wendy. That's a simile. That's a metaphor. That's English, y'all. And so because he had been around English his whole life, he has not run out of content. As a matter of fact, you may or may not know this, but he wrote a lot of Jay-Z stuff. Not only did he write Jay-Z stuff, he actually produced the soundtracks to go with it, which is why he's the biggest rapper of all rappers. Why? Because he actually has a vocabulary, because he actually takes school serious, right? They say he worth $6 billion. There's no other rapper worth that kind of money. No other rapper. Why? Because this rapper didn't only go to school, school is all inside of him. So the first thing I would say, the secret to success, we have to teach our young people to stop valuing entertainment and value education. Listen to me, y'all valuing education. Education is meant to entertainment is meant to entertain you. It's meant to distract you. It's meant not to develop you, right? But to keep you where you are. Education, and I say this as we conclude, education must be important because our ancestors were lynched for it. Our ancestors were lynched and burned on trees for it. It must be important. Our ancestors, they never got in trouble for dancing and playing. And matter of fact, they got a little check for that. Nobody never burned them for learning how to dance and run and score. Nobody ever done that. And I know what you're saying. You're saying, but LeBron is rich. Let me say this to you. If LeBron is making $50 million, and that's phenomenal, but how many other basketball players are making it? Not many. You think that everybody making what LeBron make, and they're not. But also watch this. If LeBron is making $50 million, who's writing him that check? Who's writing the man the check? If I get paid $50 million, how much is the man making that's paying me? And I say this with all due respect, but listen to me. Even the great Michael Jordan couldn't pass down his athletic skills to his sons. None of his sons made it to the NBA. But Dan Gilbert can pass down the Cleveland Cavaliers to his children. You don't have to run up and down the court for that. Dan Gilbert can give his kids the Cavaliers, and his kids can give their kids the Cavaliers, and their kids can give them the Cavaliers. So as long as life exists and people playing sports, then they can pass that down. Mike couldn't pass it down. We don't know yet if LeBron can pass down to his kid. We don't know if he's going to be able to pass down his greatness. This is why education is important. You can pass education down. You can't pass down athletic abilities. You can't pass those talents down. But a business, you can give that business to your child. And so if there's anything I would say to them, we must teach them the value of education, and we must teach them the way they value entertainment, that they must at least value education to the extent that they value entertainment. Why? because education, we will be able to eat and survive and make it in this world. Without an education, we may not be able to have our own luxuries and freedoms.
Okay, thank you, ET. So Lorenzo has a question. He says, what are some good tips for a student that is navigating through systematic inequalities, and how do you stay motivated despite all these barriers?
Good. So let me tell you something. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, when you look at the greats, when you look at what Michael Jordan had to go through with Boston and the Pistons, when you look at somebody like Tom Brady and being drafted last, actually, sometimes it is a blessing to go through struggles because it makes you strong. It puts a chip on your shoulder. Look, sometimes when you have it easy, and I'm just being real, if I could start all over again with my children, man, I would. You know, I tried my hardest and I didn't know no better, but I actually tried to keep my kids from going through some of the stuff that I went through. You know, I was just like, you know, I want my son to know what homeless is like. I don't want them to feel what it feels like, you know, to go hungry. You know, I don't want them to know what it feels like, you know, not to be present at their games. So I'm gonna go to every game and I'll be real with y'all. Like, I didn't mean no harm, but I think to an extent, I robbed my son of that dog. I robbed my son of that dog. That thing that really makes me who I am. It's that dog. It's not the degree. It's not, you know, that I got exposed to this. It's that I know what it's like to be hungry, and I don't want to be hungry again. You know what I'm saying? I know what it's like not to sleep in the building, but to sleep out in the streets or sleep in the car. Like, I know what that feels like. And so I say to you, number one, don't talk about these challenges, these inequalities as if it's something bad. I want you, number one, to embrace that. Embrace that, oh, I got to use my muscles because I got some stuff to climb. Now, listen to me. There are three Qs. There's IQ, EQ, and AQ, right? The first one is IQ. That's how they measure your intelligence, right? Scientists have not been able to substantially prove that people who are super intelligent are also successful in life. They can't determine that. That just because a person has a 4.0 or a 5.0, they cannot show you that that person is automatically going to be successful, that they're not going to be on drugs, that they're not, you know what I'm saying, that their life is not going to be happy. They can't prove that. But EQ, emotional intelligence, and how people navigate through life, they will show you that the higher your EQ is, oh man, the greater your level of success. Meaning what? That emotionally, like, even though you go through stuff, you're not gonna let it break you. You're not gonna let it put you in a state of depression. But they find the most successful people have AQ, and that's adversity quotient. That means that they find solutions for every problem that they're going through, and they're able to get on the other side of that problem. And so, my friend, you are building your AQ muscles right now. You are building your, I never forget, my professor at Michigan State University, she said to me, you know, Eric, I love you. You know, I see you trying, but you're not going to be able to write a dissertation. Like, you don't have the skill set to write a dissertation. Let me tell you something. I did not get mad. I knew exactly what she meant. She meant that you don't have the raw intelligence to get a dissertation. That's what she meant. Raw intelligence. I'm not mad at her. I knew exactly what she meant. But she don't know where I come from. We don't use intelligence. That ain't necessarily our only thing. My grandma had 14 kids without a career, and she fed all my cousins and me. Grandma found a way, get the bologna with the red around it. She made a boiled egg, and she made oatmeal, and she fed all of us. All of us grown, and grandma ain't had no whole bunch of money. So I learned there's more than one way to skin a cat. She didn't know that I had been homeless. And homeless was much deeper than writing a dissertation. She didn't know that. So what I did was I went to the library and I took 4 to 5 days and I studied all of these dissertations till I found one that looked like something I could write. And I studied that dissertation back and forth. All right, so listen to what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, number one, immerse yourself. I want you to meet with every professor that will let you meet with them. I want you to get to know every student who's already gone through the program. If you know people who went through the program already, spend time with them. Ask them, what did it feel like? How many hours did you have to put in? You know, what did you have to study? What did you have to write? What did you have to do? So number one, immerse yourself. Use every resource on the campus, right? Do not feel stupid or dumb. The stupidest question you can ask is the one you don't ask. I want you to be vulnerable. Listen to me. I don't care what they think about you. There were people at that university, because it was predominantly white, Michigan State University, who thought I was the dumbest person in the world. And now, and now they got the math, I got the PhD. I done wrote books. By the grace of God, I've done all kinds of stuff. Why? Because it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have IQ. Number two, you want to get a mentor, right? You want to get an academic mentor. Let me tell you why. Blew my mind. About 10 years ago, I was doing my homework and I found out that Denzel Washington has an acting coach. I said, Denzel? Denzel got a coach? Okay. If Denzel got a coach, I know I need a coach. I ain't on Denzel level. Denzel Washington? Training days? Huh? Training days? Malcolm X? Come on. It's not possible. Antoine Fisher? Huh? He got a coach? So I realized the greats are the greats because they have a coach. Get you an academic coach. And when I finally finished my dissertation, I met with Dr. June, who was the provost, a black male at Michigan State University, and he gave me a schedule, and I kept that schedule, and it was the schedule that allowed me to finish it in a year. What I'm trying to tell you is you need to get around people who can help you discover the patterns. There are secrets. They're success leaves clues. And so I promise you, if you get a mentor, if you get a schedule, if you get a routine, right? If you do these things, if you immerse yourself, if you use every resource, I promise you, not only will you be able to get past the inequalities that exist, you will be able to create programs such as this that will also help other people to successfully go through exactly what you went through. Great question, by the way.
All right. So keep those questions coming. The next one, ET, is Josh from Joshua. Josh asks, what are some techniques that I can apply on my personal academic journey to keep me going? Things tend to be tough sometimes and I want to give up.
Good. So the first thing I told you earlier, I'm being literal. I've got a 91-year-old grandma. My grandma just turned 91 3 days ago. My grandma has gone to every single event that I've ever had. And her son, my biological father, was never in my life. But my grandma been to everything. And so let me tell you something. I got a picture of my grandma. And when I wake up and I go throughout my year, I often look at the picture of my grandmother. And my grandmother's picture inspires me in a way that I don't get inspired on my own. I think about my daughter. I think about my son. And every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, I gotta, make the right financial investments. I gotta do right by my money. So in the event that I pass, that I can pass this company on to my children. I think about my wife every day. And there's days I don't feel like working out. There are days I don't feel like doing certain things. And I keep thinking, Eric, your wife has multiple sclerosis. If you die, you know what I'm saying? She's going to be by herself. You have to work out because every day you work out, you are potentially putting another day, another 2 days, another week on your life by working out. What I'm trying to tell you is there are things that we just don't feel like doing, right? And we just can't get the strength to do it. But if we think about the people we love and how it's going to make them feel and what it's going to do for their lives, sometimes other people inspire you in ways that you can't inspire yourself. It's just the truth. You've ever read these stories about kids who were trapped, under a rock or under a car, and the mother was able to get the car up off their kids, or a dog attacked them when they had their babies, and they fought that dog off in a way that if that dog attacked them without their kid, they'd have ate that person up. But they found something within it. The adrenaline got going because they were trying to protect. Listen to me. I promise you, there are things that we cannot do when we're doing them for selfish reasons. I cannot fast. People be like all the time, fast, eat. I'm like, man, I can't go without eating, bro. I promise you, I can't go with. I need to eat, bro. But when somebody tells me, and I'm a pastor and I don't like to fast, but when somebody tells me, this 2-year-old, they got cancer and they need I can fast then. I don't know how. Grandma, she got to go for chemotherapy. We gonna pray and go without eating for it. I can do it. But when it's just about me, even if I got to lose weight, I got to eat. I just can't find, it just ain't enough. They're like, you need a little 10 pounds. I'm like, it ain't about to happen. You know what I'm saying? But if they say, we're going to run a half a marathon, for these kids in prison so we can sign me up. Let's go. I can't run 3 miles by myself. But when you attach a cause to it, when you give me something within, I can do it. But when you just tell me do it for me, I can't do it. And I'm telling y'all, I believe we were created to do great things. but we were created to be phenomenal when we're doing other things for other people. So that's what I would say. Think about somebody else. Who's going to benefit when you graduate? Your mama coming to the graduation, your grandma, your father, your cousins, the big party they're going to have. Grandma getting a new dress, going to get her hair did. You know what I'm saying? Get a nail. You feel me? Like sometimes you have to do it for somebody else. Number two, I would tell you, get a system. Get a system. Get a system. The great Michael Jordan, the great late Kobe Bryant, the greats. Michael Jordan could not win the championship until Phil Jackson came and gave him the triangle. Kobe won, but when he got rid of Phil Jackson, he never won again. He begged to get Phil back. Phil came back, the triangle offense. I'm here to tell you that there are some things you can do on your own, but to be phenomenal and be great, it requires a system. Get you a system. Don't just study. Get a study system. Don't just write a book. Get a system for how you're going to write your book. Don't just go run. You're going to do a half a marathon. You're going to do 5K. Study and figure out how you do it. Don't just lose weight. Go keto diet or cardio or resist cardio. But there's systems. A lot of us don't do well because we waking up every day and we starting from scratch, or we playing guessing games. No, get a system. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And I know for some of us, we feel like, we don't want to be caged as birds. But let me tell y'all something. I'm doing phenomenal now. Why? I got a coach and I got a system. And I know why the caged bird sings now. I know why the caged bird sings. All right? You do a whole lot more when you in that, like, not caged, meaning that, people taking your gifts away, but they're giving you systems that make it easier. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So those are the two things I would suggest. Do it for a cause greater than just yourself. Do it for you, but also a cause greater for yourself, and then get a system. So the days that it's hard, it doesn't matter if it's hard when you have a system. Because when you have a system, you just punch in the equation. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It don't matter how you feel. A squared plus B squared. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I used to struggle in math until I started doing systems, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It doesn't matter how I feel. It's always parentheses first. It's always exponent. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's the same. So get a system. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And then all you got to do is just plug it in, and the system is going to always give you the same results. It is people without systems that don't get the same results, which is why I used to hate my middle school math teacher, because I would get the right grade and he'd still give me, he'd still take points away. And I'm like, bro, I got the right, why you give me, I got the right answer. He said, I ain't looking for the answer. I'm looking for the process. I need to make sure throughout the process that you getting this stuff right. Because why? Because if you listen to me, y'all might think I'm lying. I promise you, there will be times that I would get the process right, but I would get the answer wrong, and he would give me a greater score for getting the process right and getting the answer wrong than getting the answer right, but getting the process wrong. And I couldn't understand what you're doing. He was like, bruh, between me and you could have lucked up on that. You could have lucked up on that answer. He said, but the process, he said, as long as you got the process, I saw what you did. You got the numbers wrong because you was rushing, but you got the process right. So if you can slow down, as long as you get the process, 90% of the time you're going to get the answer right. And that's what he was teaching me. It's not about the reward. It's about the reps. If you put the reps in, you're going to get the reward. But if you just want a reward, you're not always going to get a reward. But you ain't going to never do the reps and not eventually get a reward. Good. I know that was a long way to say it, to answer that, but I wanted to make sure I got you all of that.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that. And so talking about the process, Cedric asked, how important are sacrifices in the path to success, and will those sacrifices be worth it?
Well, that's a phenomenal question, man. And let me answer it this way first, giving all honor and respect to my ancestors. I don't know why they just didn't all jump over the boat. I don't know why they just didn't all kill themselves. I'm just being real. I respect those that jumped off the boat, like coming from Africa to America. I get it. Or the Caribbeans or England. I get it. They was like, yo, I can't do this. Much respect. I don't look at them as weak. Much respect. You getting raped. People taking your kids from you. They hanging you, burning you, working you all day. You're not eating sufficiently. I get it. But there were ancestors that said, we're not going to kill ourselves. We're going to go through all of this mess. And then one day our babies are going to be free. And they're going to have the opportunity to be not 3/5 of a man, but a whole. And let me tell you something. When I tell you their sacrifices is why we all sitting right here right now. So when you ask me, are sacrifices worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why I give honor. I want y'all to know something. I'm not even doing no more gigs this year. The only gigs I'm doing this year is for people of color. I said it. You know what I'm saying? I said it. I don't care who heard it. You know what I'm saying? I look, why? Because financially, I don't need no more money. So then why would you do it if you don't need money? Because I don't have the right to tell my ancestors no to my people because my ancestors didn't say no. They made the sacrifices. So to your point, you will never make a sacrifice and not get a reward for it. Now, you may not get the reward when you want it. I got to be clear on that one. It may not come in your time frame. So let's be cautious. But you will never, ever plant 100 apple seeds and ever get a watermelon back. I want you to hear that because I'm not trying to be deep. If you put 1,000 apple seeds in the ground, the earth will never go, was that an apple? Or was that an orange? Was that a watermelon? I forgot what it was. Okay, just give my man a grapefruit. I'm not really sure what it was. If you plant 1,000 apple seeds, you're going to get at least 850, 900 apple trees. Now, some of those might die, but I promise you, the majority of them jokers going to grow. And watch this. When that one grows, it creates an apple, and inside that one seed you planted are multiple seeds in the apple. So you don't even get back what you put in. You get more than what you put in. So you get one seed you can eat, and then you get a couple seeds you can plant. So do me a favor. When you make your sacrifices, understand that when you make them and you get a reward, all of those don't belong to you. All those rewards don't belong to you because there were people who made sacrifices before you. And so now you got to make sacrifices. So for me, the free school stuff that I do for kids, putting kids through college, all of that, when I get blessed financially, all that money don't belong to me. I can't put all that money in my house or in my clothes or in no car. There's a large portion of that money that goes to others. So make sure when you sacrifice and you start getting blessed, you don't get to get all of the sacrifice. You get to get a portion of it, and then you give a portion away so that other people can be blessed by your sacrifice.
Love it. Thank you for that, E.T. Kinsley asks, what advice would you give to your younger self at the start of your career?
Take stuff, man. Look, be all in or all out. You know what I'm saying? E.T. was like, I go to class for about 3 weeks, geeked up. I got my little shirt on, for the university. You know what I'm saying? I got my hat, my gym. I'm coming in. I got a little book bag. I don't usually have the books. I ain't never really buy the books, but you know what I'm saying? I looked like I was a student, and that was the problem, y'all. I was always about the attention and not the attitude. I wanted to get the attention of a student, but I didn't have the attitude of a student. I wasn't going in early. I wasn't doing my work early, coming to school prepared. I wasn't doing my homework afterwards. I was waiting to the last minute to do everything. I had a form of a student, right? But I wasn't acting like a student. So I wanted attention. I wanted clout. I want, look at me. But I didn't want to put in the work. And I'm telling y'all, when I started getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, y'all, man, when I started doing my work before I got to class, this might sound funny to y'all, but look, give me a second. I want to break this down. It's the weirdest thing. When you actually study before class and the teacher is talking about stuff it's just a different classroom. I'm telling y'all, I'm going to school and I ain't studied nothing. And my man was talking and I was like, yo, I don't even want to be in here. I don't know what he's talking about. I'm embarrassed. I don't know nothing that's going on. He's making me read. I'm sounding stupid. But when you literally read the book before and you do your homework, it's the craziest thing. The same class, you got a different experience. I'm not lying to y'all. I'm looking to raise my hand. I'm like, yo, bro, holla at your boy. I got this one. You know what I'm saying? Let me get this one right here. All right? I know this answer, right? Bro, you can impress your friends, impress the girls, and you get a different quality of girl when you smart than when you a class clown. It's just different. And so the first thing I would tell myself, Eric, if you're going to do it, do it. If you're not, don't do it. Don't do it, E. No, listen to me. I'm not telling you to do what they want you to do. I'm telling you, if you like basketball, don't do basketball. If you like to read, don't do it. Number two, what I would say, and this could be number one, you can flip these two. Stop worrying about what everybody think about you. Why was I so worried about other people's opinion? We was all in middle school or high school. We all broke. We all growing. Don't none of us look like we did. You know what I'm saying? We all didn't have nothing. I was so worried about what other people thought that I could never do what I wanted to do. I could never be who I wanted to be. I was always a copycat of somebody else. I was I was always getting in trouble. You know, I was always getting in trouble. Bad stuff was always happening to me. Why? Because I was always trying to be somebody else. But I'm telling y'all, when I became an authentic ET, when I started living like ET, I'm not Zig Ziglar. I'm not Les Brown. I'm not Tony Robbins. When I started being me, the hat, the shoe, just being ET, being the kid from the south side of Chicago, west side of Detroit, of course, being educated, but just being myself, not trying to use words everybody else using or stories or doing what they do. When I just started being myself, y'all, I realized people actually like me for me. It's the weirdest thing. People actually like me for being myself more than they like me when I was being fake and being somebody I wasn't. You know, and then the last thing is, man, we only as deep as the 5 people we run with. My mama used to say, you hang with 5 broke people, you bound to be the 10th. You hang with 9 smart people, you bound to be the 10th. And I'll never forget the day Dan Gilbert invited me to spend the day with him. What's my man's name? Warren Buffett, you know, and billionaires. You know, I'll never forget that day, man. I walked out of that room like, why'd they invite me? I ain't no billionaire. And then as I grew and became mature, I was like, they must have wanted you in that room for something. And so I started hanging around Dan Gilbert. And guess what? I became a businessman. Because one of the things I realized being around him is just because you dropped out of high school, just because your mama was a teenage mom, just because your daddy wasn't in your life, just because, you know, school didn't come easy to you, it doesn't mean you're not a businessman. You're a businessman, Eric. A businessman called you. He got 50 companies, Quicken Loans, just man, all kind of stuff. The Cavaliers, the women's basketball, whatever. He got all these companies. I attracted him for a reason, and I had to realize, man, E, if your friends are billionaires, you could be one. If your friends own business, you could be one. If your friends write books, you can write books. If your friends go to school, you can go. If your friends got character, you can have character. If your friends have integrity, you can have integrity. If your friends start programs for our people, you can start programs for your people. Like if your friends in mortgage, real estate, you could get in real estate. Like, yo, when I started hanging around, you know, a different group of people, I started doing different things. Now remember, I'm a high school dropout. Why? Because my boy Bob dropped out and Goodlow dropped out and Bill dropped out and Lil B dropped out. And they used to be like, E, why you keep going to school? We on the block making money. We doing all kinds of stuff. You in school, you ain't even doing well. And guess what happened? After being around people who all they talked about was dropping out, I dropped out. I dropped out. But then when I started hanging with Dee Dee, my wife, you know, and before when she was my girlfriend and she started going to school, and then my friends with people went to school, my friends graduated, I wanted to graduate. So my last one is, man, be careful who you call friend. Be careful who you call friend, because the people you hang around, I don't even have to know you. If you show me your 5 closest friends, I'll show you exactly where you're going in life.
That's awesome. So talking about your top 5 people, Jalen asks, how important is it to have associates and or mentors in your circle that inspire you? And the second part of that question is, and how do you know if they really want you to win?
Good. So the first thing is, it's imperative, you know, in the multitude of counsel, there is safety. All right. Now watch this. If you've ever looked at like an airplane experience, right? And I hate to use this analogy, right? But the late great Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and some other passengers, you know, who lost their life. Watch this. When they did the research showed that the air traffic control, y'all know those are the individuals that sit in the tower. So they are all the way up in the sky. They can see everything that's going on. If you remember, they told Kobe Bryant's pilot not to fly that day because of the fog. That's what they said. It's too foggy. You're not going to be able to see, right? So here's the deal. In the multitude of counsel, there's safety, meaning what? That when the air traffic control is all the way up there, the air traffic control told you not to do a certain thing, they're not telling you that because they're trying to hurt you. How do I know, Eric? Because the air traffic control not even on a helicopter. They're not in the plane. So they're not giving you information for them. They give you information. They're not gonna crash. That's not about to happen to them. They're gonna put their clothes on and leave when it's time to clock have your best interest in heart. How do you know they have your best interest in heart? Because the decisions they're telling you to make are all decisions that's going to lead you to success and none of them to your demise. That's how you know when people care for you, because every decision they tell you to do, you notice when you finish doing it, you better off because of it. That's how you know. You're like, man, I got a B. I never got a B in that class before. My teacher liked me now. Wow. All of a sudden, I know how to write. So you know when people care for you because everything they tell you to do, you prosper. When my boys told me drop out of school, that wasn't for me. That was for them. They love being around me. They love my jokes. They love I played cards. I played football. Well, there were certain things that we were doing that they couldn't do till I got home from school. Like, yo, we gotta wait for E. So they was like, yo, drop out. Why? So you could be with us and do stuff we doing, right? But when people love you, like Little B, I'll never forget. Little B told me we had this big fight at this basketball game. And that night, Little B had pulled me to the side. He was like, I need to talk to you. I thought he was going to tell me how proud he was because I said I laid hands on my man, right? And Lil B pulled me to the side. He was like, this don't got nothing to do with no fighting, bro. You need to go to college. You need to follow Didi to school. You need to get your GED. You need to get out of here, E. E, for real, you got something, bro. You know we all cool. We all grew up together, but E, you got something special, bro. And you need to get out of here, bro. And let me tell y'all something. I talked to Lil B the other day. It was so funny. One of our homies, they called and I was doing something. So I called back. I was like, what's up, Lil B? He was like, Drake said you weren't going to call back. He said, you think you big time now. You don't know us no more. I told him he was going to call us back. I was like, no question. Like, I was actually speaking, bro. I would just be sitting around doing nothing all day. I was actually speaking. So he was geeked, y'all, because he was like, remember when I told you was going to be somebody, Remember I told you need to get off the block, bro? Remember I told you need to get your GED and go to college? I told you. And so you want to hang with people who love you enough that even if they ask you to do something that's not going to be beneficial to them, because they love you so much, they're going to ask you to do what's right, right? And here's the last thing. You know people love you because the pace, like they don't make you work at their pace. They let you be you and they let you be you authentically. What do I mean by that? So I never forget when I first started running long distance. It was a gentleman who worked at the university with me. He was a little older than me, but we lived in the same neighborhood. And he used to watch me run. And he was like, yo, E, you must have been a sprinter when you were younger. I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, this is like this distance running, bro. Like, you can't run that fast. You know what I'm saying? He said, we got hills in the neighborhood, like you can't run that fast. He said, what you got to do is you got to find your pace. He said, believe it or not, long distance is not about running far. It's not about running fast. It's about finding your pace. And once you find your pace, you can go forever. So whatever your heartbeat is and your breathing, if you could get that like at a real nice pace, he's like, bro, you can run forever. Like your legs ain't about to die. It's your mind is telling you to quit. He's like, you good, but you just going too fast. He's like, I could tell. I said, how you know? He said, you're breathing. You breathing hard. You going up this hill hard. You coming down it hard. He was like, yo, it's a pattern to it. He was like, listen to your heartbeat. Listen to your heartbeat and run based on your heartbeat. Now I was like, oh, okay. He was like, you got your mouth wide open. He like, you breathe, your oxygen. He said, bro, breathe through your nose. Run it. He said, I said, well, how do I breathe through my nose? He was like, actually, you have to breathe through your mouth because you're not doing it the right way. You're going too fast. If you're doing it right, you can breathe through your nose, and that's going to reserve your energy. I was like, I got you. So that would be my recommendation in terms of how do you select counsel. But listen to me, everybody needs a coach. Michael Jordan had one, Kobe Bryant had one. And when Kobe didn't and Mike didn't have the right one, neither one of them won championships. So we must all have mentors, coaches, whatever you want to call them.
That's real. Alberto, next question is from Alberto. He asks, how do you deal with burnout?
I just said it. Burnout meaning you're going at somebody else's pace. Burnout means you're doing too much. That's what burnout means. Burnout means you're going on both ends of the candle, right? And let me be transparent with y'all just in case we don't get to this question. Because burnout is not always physical. Sometimes burnout is mental, right? And the end of the year, man, my son, he was supposed to get married. And so he came out of the relationship. And when he came out of the relationship, you can imagine COVID, man, like COVID has been real for a lot of people. And so when he came out the relationship, You just got to imagine him thinking, he's about to get married tonight. He's not about to get married. And so, let's just say, there was times when he needed a Snicker bar. He needed a Snicker bar. Okay. And so he would say things to me that was like, whoa, like, bruh, like, and I had to say to myself, like, no, he going through it. Like, don't take it personal. But watch this, y'all. Literally, every Friday night, I would go into my wife's prayer closet. And some of the things that my son said to me and other people said to me during the week, I literally had to get it off of me. Right? We're talking about burnout. And burnout is when you're doing, it might be too much on you emotionally, right? And here's the deal. Watch this. Y'all notice we take out our trash every week, but we don't take out our trash every week. We take out our physical trash, but we don't take out some of the emotional trash, stuff that we hear, stuff people say, And so I had to say, if my son said to me, let's just say, for instance, he might have been like, Dad, you trying to be controlling, right? And I'd have to go in the room and say to myself, Eric, you trying to protect your son. You're trying to keep your son from harm, right? He's young right now. Maybe one day he'll get it, but right now he's young and he don't get it. You're trying to protect him. You're not being overprotective. You're not being controlling. And I know I'm not being controlling because I don't even live in the state you live in. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't living in the apartment you were living in. And I wasn't getting up with you in the morning and making the decisions you was making. So I know I wasn't controlling. But what you mean by that is I was trying to help you, and sometimes you didn't want the help, right? But I had to just tell myself, release that. My wife might be like, you don't do physical tasks. You always speaking and mentoring and coaching. I had to go, you know what? That's what I do. I got to run at my own pace. I'm not a handyman. I can order a handyman. I can order the stuff and order the handyman and let my man do it. But I can't put a bunk bed with 2,000 pieces together. It's just not my swag, right? But I got to go in the closet and go, you're not less than a man because you can't put a bunk bed together. You're not less than a man because you can't put a bunk bed together. You are a man. Why? Because you mentor kids, because you give your time to young people, because you help kids go to college. I'm just being real with y'all. I'm telling you what burnout is. Burnout is you hear a lot of negative and you never get out your system. And you start making decisions based on the stuff you hear. So not to be burnout, meaning that you push the refresh button. Right? And you don't always wait for it to get pushed. Sometimes you got to push it. Sometimes you got to go in the closet. And guess what I started doing, y'all, during that time? I started taking more baths, right? Not rushing, taking a shower, but like physically getting the Epsom salt, getting in the hot tub, putting like some jazz on or some classical music, and just pushing the refresh button. Sometimes I would go to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock if I had a long day and just be like, yo, bro, you can't burn both ends. If you get up early in the morning, then you got to go to bed early. You can't get up early and stay up late. You burn the can on both sides. And all the people that you burning it for, when you die, those people gonna cry for you and do whatever they're gonna do, but you're gonna be dead. Don't kill yourself. So I'm saying to you, if you're gonna do your schoolwork, do it early in the morning and have a cutoff time, right? And here's why I say this. If somebody gives you 2 weeks to write a paper, you know how long it's gonna take you? It's gonna take you 2 weeks. If they give you a week to do it, you know how long it's gonna take you? It's gonna take you a week to do it. So what happens sometimes is we take what is given to us and we do it. Like, no, don't do that no more. Get up in the morning, give yourself a stop time and tell yourself you're going to be finished with everything by this time. You feel me? I'm going to get up early. I'm going to be finished by noon. I'm going to be finished by 2. I'm going to be finished by 3. And once I finish, I'm going to go watch a little TV. Y'all, I never watch TV. Now I'm not grateful for COVID for what it's done to the world, but I'm grateful for COVID because it slowed your boy down. I was on the road so much, the airplane people knew me. What up, E? We saw you yesterday. I was like, yeah, I came home last night, but I got a gig this morning. Everybody knew me at the airport. There would be times I'd be in the airport with my wife. I would be looking around. I didn't know if I was flying back to Detroit or I was leaving. There are times I'd be in a hotel. I would wake up in the hotel. I don't know if this ever happened to nobody, but I would wake up in the hotel. I didn't know if I was at home. I didn't know if I was on the road. I was just like, where am I? God was like, COVID has blessed you. You're about to run yourself into the ground. You feel me? Now, why I don't like Zoom like I would love to be with you guys, talking to y'all, touching y'all, taking pics, creating memories, eating together. You feel me? That's what I would rather do. But COVID has given me a year and some change. I haven't been on the road since I was in England in March. The day we came home, the next day they shut everything down. So I haven't been on the road in a year and some change. And so it slowed me down. And when we do go back, I will never work the way I worked before. I won't do it. I will not ever work the way I worked before. So burnout just means you're doing too much, and it could be good stuff, but you got to create a schedule. So you say, I work during this time, I play during this time, I rest during this time, and it's a cycle.
Okay, fantastic. Dion's got a question. Shout out to Dion. He's been with MSA for years now. His question is, what type of advice would you give to students who give up easily?
I'd say if you give up, it's probably because you didn't really want to do it in the first place. And a lot of us get bullied to go to college. A lot of us get bullied to do degrees that our parents want, or people who are very influential in our lives. And I would say anytime you give up on something, it means you didn't want it in the first place. And not in a bad way. It just means it must not have been valuable to you, right? Hardest thing I've ever tried to do was learn a second language, and I quit, and I start and I quit. But the PhD, I went and got that. Why? Because I saw a direct, I saw direct, blessings that would come from it. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about access, but I could see it. It's like, it's worth it. Whatever I'm going through is worth it. And so when you quit something, it just means you can't see at the end of the tunnel. It means you can't see the value of it. You don't see the worth of it. So for you, it's like, it's better to quit than it is to, in order to keep going. But there's some people, you look at Harriet Tubman, man, she felt like not only getting her own freedom was worth it, she would come back and get more enslaved Africans because she felt it was worth it. She put her life at risk for it. You feel me? Other folk, they snitch, or, they become informants for the FBI and go against the movement because they don't think, dying is worth doing that for. Whereas Martin Luther King felt like, this is to die for. So I always feel like we quit on things that we really feel like, if I finish this or I do this, it's not going to add that much value to my life. It's not going to make that big of a difference, because you think eating makes a difference, and so you eat. You think sleeping makes a difference, so you sleep. If you like me, you can't stand water, but I drink a whole bunch of it because I know if I don't, I'm going to die. So again, you only quit the things that you don't think are valuable at the end of the day.
All right, fantastic. Our last question for you, E.T.
Okay.
Very open-ended, very broad. You can answer it however you want. Okay. What should we have asked you that we didn't ask you?
Oh, you should have asked me, guys, how to be economically successful in this world. All right, how to be economically successful in this world. Okay, three things I want to tell you real quick. Don't let how you were brought up and who you were brought up with, don't let that be the all in all. If your mama raised you, your daddy raised you, you grew up Christian, whatever your thing is, you grew up, you in a fraternity, whatever it is, know that while that's great information and that information got you to where you are, it's not going to get you to where you need to go. And there are going to be some environments you're going to need to go to, some people outside of your community you're going to need to meet in order to take you where you want to go. All right, what do I mean by that? Man, I grew up Black my whole life, period. I grew up in Detroit, Chicago, Black my whole life. Only place I saw white individuals was at school. My mother had a white teacher, right? But for the most part, Black female teachers, right? I ain't have a lot of Black men in it. Black female teachers, white females, right? I went to an HBCU. The president was Black, vice president was Black, everybody was Black. I didn't come across white individuals until I went to Michigan State. I was 31 years old. That was the first time. And let me say something to you. Whether it was Latinos that I hooked up with, Asians that I hooked up, Caucasians I hooked up with, each ethnic background taught me something that I didn't know from my own ethnic background. Each ethnic background, let me tell y'all something. You want it, bro, you start hanging around Latinos, bro, you be embarrassed. Your work ethic, you would be embarrassed. I'm talking about, when I tell you they grind, I'm talking about grandma, granddad, they don't stop working. I'm talking about they 80 years old. I live out in Cali. I built a house out in Cali last year, July. I went out there, it was elderly Latino men with, I'm talking about holding bricks and busting stuff up. Their work ethic is unbelievable. Caucasians, their systems is unbelievable. They didn't conquer the world. They didn't went to every part of the world that they ain't from and rob their resources. So when somebody say, like, Haiti's a third world country, know that it's third world? Because our Caucasian brothers and sisters went over there and found a way to strip the sugar cane, the beans, whatever it is, coffee bean, whatever it is. If it's some resources, Africa, gold, whatever, they have a smooth system where they're able to get on a ship and come over to your land, right? And pretty much take over your land and then create police, create government, create stuff where you ain't gonna never, it's gonna take centuries for you to get your stuff back. Their systems is out of this world. Listen to me very closely. The Asian community, when I tell you, they do not play with intelligence. They do not play when it comes to your mental, your IQ. They don't play with that. They believe that they will gain their dominance through their intelligence, whether it's technology, whether it's building bombs, whatever. They gonna try to outsmart you. So what am I telling you? I'm telling you that I'm number one in the world because I've been exposed to our community, which is when I tell you adversity, when I tell you, hey, we only need a little to get a lot. We only need, you just got to give us one shot, and we gonna knock that door down. Jackie Robinson, Venus and Serena, Tiger Woods. We only need one shot. Jesse Owens, you give us one chance. We gonna open the doors. I was able to get a little bit of every community. And that's why I'm number one in the world. Because when I speak, everybody feel like I'm talking to them. Why? Because I'm not limited just to my own community. I love my community to life, but I don't want to be one-dimensional. Number two, do not take everything, number one, for granted that you've learned. Test everything, learn new stuff. Number two, don't be one-dimensional. Don't be one-dimensional. If you're one-dimensional, you're not going to make it in the NFL, the NBA. You ain't going to make it in nothing. You ain't going to make it in life. You cannot be one-dimensional. And so by being educated and surrounding yourself with people from all nationalities, all ages, all walks of life, what you get is different perspectives. So it don't mean that I got to act like or forget where I come from. It just means when I go make money, I speak a certain way. Now, I'm ET. You see the hat and the shoes, like, don't get it twisted. I never sell myself out to be what somebody else want me to be, but I do switch my language up. I do switch the language up. Your boy does code shift when I need to, right? And I'm not talking about using big words. I'm just talking about using appropriate words in the context. That's all I'm talking about. So if I'm talking to teachers, I say teachers, right? I go to college, I say professors. It's language. If I'm in K through 12, I say, instruction. I'm in college, I say pedagogy. It's just language. It's the same thing. You say broke, I say, a financial transition. You know what I'm saying? It's just language. Like we say the exact same thing, but when I say broke, there's a certain ethnic background that understands that term. Everybody don't understand broke. But when I say economic transition, then there are people like, oh, I know exactly what he means, right? So there's words that the young people use, right? There are terms that if you in Gen Z, you use. If you millennial, you use. If you Gen X, there's certain terms we use, right? So language is important, all right? And then my final one, and I just said it, don't literally, if you like can think it, and what do I mean by think it? I just mean like if you can see it in your mind, even if you're not doing it, but you can see it in your mind, it means that you're capable of accomplishing it. Now, you may not necessarily have all the tools you need right now, but let me just say this for instance. I never watched Dr. J and felt like, yo, I could do that. I never looked at Dr. J and was like, I could do that ever. I never looked at Tony Dorsett and was like, really like, I'm gonna be the next Tony Dorsett. But when I saw Martin Luther King, y'all, I was like, I could do that. I could do that right there. When I saw Malcolm X, I saw the movie when Malcolm was like, bye with the finger boy. I was like, yo, I could do that right there. I could influence some black men and have them doing the right thing in their life. I could see me helping black men in their marriage, helping them economically, helping them to see themselves in a different way. I could see myself doing that. And I became that because I could see myself doing that. I never hooped because I couldn't see myself hooping. I never did football because I never could see myself. Whatever you can see yourself doing, don't let nobody talk you out of it. There's a reason why you see yourself doing it. If you see a rapper with a certain house and a car and you go, ooh, I never looked at a mansion or a big car and was like, ooh, my whole life as #1 motivational speaker in the world, multimillionaire. I live in a 2,300 square foot home in Michigan. My next door neighbor is a teacher and a firefighter. You know what I'm saying? They like, E, what you doing still living out here? I always saw myself as middle class. I grew up middle class. I don't see myself in Beverly Hills. I could get a house, but I just don't see myself being pretentious. I just don't see myself being big time. I just don't see I see myself as blue collar. That's how people see me on the street. E, you in Lansing, Michigan? I said, yeah, this is where I live. They like, you live in Lansing? I'm like, yeah, where you thought I would live? Man, I thought you was from, well, because that's what you see on TV. Well, how you in the grocery store in Lansing? How you in the grocery store in Lansing? What you doing in the grocery store? What you doing in the grocery store? I'm buying food. I'm buying food. we do the exact same thing. Why you at the gas station? At Michigan State? Because I went to Michigan State, and this is where they got gas at. And when I come help students. So, guys, if you can see yourself doing it somewhere in your soul, in your spirit, you believe you could do it. Not talking about your intelligence. I'm not talking about, what kind of resources your mama and daddy have. If you see something, you go, I could do that. Your soul is telling you, your spirit is telling you that you could do this thing. And if you want to try, I'm here to help you to get the resources and get all the other stuff you need to make it happen.